Hello YouTube, I am so freaking excited. James Deane is coming to Drift Week 6, which we're doing in the Texas region, and my buddy Zach from ECU Master is providing the car. So to get James Deane over and everything, we have to get all of his logistics for tires, his sponsors, his a car for him, and he's not gonna bring a car or anything, so we have to prep an entire car. We have to make something that's really fun to drive, that's gonna be super reliable, make it to all the locations on the street legal, or mostly street legal, be like a fun car for everyone to drive in him with. We don't wanna make it too fast, we don't wanna make it too slow. I think we're gonna make it too fast. And we also have to finish it in less than 2 months, and Zach is taking all that on. And we're at his shop today at the new ECU Master headquarters, which is an air-conditioned shop. Huge, beautiful, he has lots of cool stuff in here. This is his pride and joy, I think, but we can't let James Deane drive it because he won't fit, because we'll say it's too small inside. This is a 350Z. Now, I'm gonna let Zach tell you all about it, but this has been a Lone Star Drift car for more than a decade. It's gone through tons of iterations. It's been incredibly reliable, but that kind of car would be too boring to drive at Drift Week for a superstar like James Deane, which again, I'm so freaking excited. We're gonna have the best driver in the world drifting with us for 2 weeks on Drift Week. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I am so stupid excited. Zach is gonna tell us all about this. Yeah. And thank you so much for giving him a car for him to drive over here, because we couldn't do this trip without you and this car.
No, I'm excited. So I've been wanting to redo this car for a very long time. It has a, God knows how many mile DE VQ in it that's had literally the weight of the car in nitrous, at least had 3,000 pounds of nitrous through it over the years. It's really tired. Actually still makes decent power on the bottle, but changing bottles sucks, and even on nitrous it makes about what an HRZ would make, if not a little less. So bought a Crate LS3, we're stuffing a cam in it, doing, I think, Brian Tooley, their stage 2 camshaft, trying to upgrade springs, and this is the kind of the pièce de résistance, which is RHD Engineering in Australia. They make a really badass ITB kit. It actually uses a drive-by-wire actuator. Mm-hmm. So it's like a cut-up throttle body.
Oh! So you're giving the car a new failure mode.
Yeah, well, I mean, it already has that.
You're giving it 7 more failure modes.
Correct. So we're to build it for this. We'll do a sprint car airbox through the hood. Mm-hmm. This over a stock LS3 intake picks up 55 horsepower. So just A to B swap.
At 9,000 RPM or a real RPM?
665. It's really pretty tame. I didn't want something that needed to spin 1,000 RPM or billion RPM.
Do you need to port the heads and do a bunch of stuff to take advantage of it?
Not at all. So I mean,
I'm gonna have to get Richard Holdner on the line.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I mean, the dynograph it increases everywhere. Well, he's done the same test. He's done a similar ITB kit on an LS, and it picked up power everywhere.
Wow.
So it's pretty impressive. I'm going to also have a stock LS3 intake with a stock throttle body just as a fail-safe, because some of the special machine hardware, if we lose one of these nuts or something, there are a lot of ways it could ruin a trip. Mm-hmm. So I want to do this for me because it's fun and it's exciting. It should sound super rad because we'll make the exhaust super quiet, so you'll hear mostly induction noise in the car. So It should sound really trick. But other than that, literal Crate LS3 factory accessories, T56 Magnum transmission.
So with the cam, it should make 550 crank maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right around there. So I mean,
I'm planning out my Drift Week car to try and make sure I can hang with them, because I make maybe 400 wheel.
Yeah, but that in an S14 versus this, the 350 is a little heavier, so you should be just fine.
James Deane is a lot better driver. Oh, so when I say we, I mean you. That's my old Corvette. If you guys have been around the Lone Star Drift channel for a long time, Zach bought it and now is the proud owner of a car that has wiring gremlins.
Yeah, it's crossing fingers. It's been better lately.
Why not put James Deane in that thing? Because that thing looks amazing.
He won't fit. So if you look, just even from here, look at where that Sparco logo is versus the roofline. And then look in the Corvette. It's a really easy.
So you can see the Sparco logo. You can actually see it. And then this is way up there. Oh man.
And you can't get that seat.
The seat touches the cage.
Yeah, and you can't get it any further back. I mean,
that's insane.
Truthfully, you could try, but it's not going to work well. So it'd be a lot of fidgeting, using a smaller seat, mounting it 12,000 times. And again, until I do a full rewire on this car, I'm not really confident turnkey handing it over to somebody else, because the factory Corvette stuff is so sketchy.
Plus, he would die from the. Well, you could just remove the seat and put him on the floor.
And basically, you'd have to put him on a moving blanket, just sitting on the floor. But the Z is a much better chassis for the trip. It'll be more comfortable. But again, I just need to fix the quarter panel, just a bunch of scars it's had over the years. We'll pull out the seats, paint the interior, put door cards on it. It's got carpet, so it'll be a really nice, don't hate yourself street car. And in November, where we're going to be, like, it should be decent with climate and not just sweating to death. So
you have so much distance to go on this. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there are so many boxes and other things. Like, is this a T56 Magnum?
Yeah.
T56 Magnum, parts for his ITBs, looks like a clutch setup and everything. He has boxes and boxes of parts. Now guys, this is not gonna be everything. There's gonna be a lot more boxes of parts.
Right.
He's gonna have, oh, this is weird.
So that was
it looks like they just like hit everything.
So a customer did that because this is like a blem. We're on a timeline, so rather than waiting on their next shipment, I was like, I don't care if they've been dented a little bit.
Was someone trying to get a steering shaft past that?
Yes, but it clears the factory one, so who knows what was going on with that, but I don't really care about some dents, so it was in the interest of time we got this earlier.
So he has a lot of parts, and hopefully this is a pretty standard swap at this point because he does not have a lot of time to sort anything out. However, he does make the ECU, so it's obviously going to be on one of your ECUs, right?
Well, yeah, and we don't make it, we distribute it. We're just
okay. Well,
yeah.
I think of you as ECU master.
But actually, I'm probably going to put it on our EMU Pro that's due for release early next year, so it'll be kind of pre-production stuff. But yeah, we already got that in a few of my cars working well, so we'll probably stuff one in just because it's a cool thing to do. So we got a bunch of wiring to do. I think we're going to rip out all the wiring, do it from scratch with one of our power management units, solid state battery disconnect, infrared tire temp cameras on the back. So it should be a pretty trick setup, but we've got a lot to do in a couple months for sure.
So do you actually plan to even have a chance to test this thing?
Yes.
Where are you going to test it?
My goal is to have it done really like probably first week of October, and then we've got time to shake it down. And
God, you're going to do all this in a month?
I've done more and less.
Yeah. But I mean, you have a business to run.
I do, but I mean, but if I can take 2 weeks off for Drift Week, then
you can make this happen.
Yeah. My guys are really good, and they're doing things properly. So
okay.
I've got help too.
So this car is too plain looking, everyone's going to say. What are you going to do to spice this thing up so it does not look so plain?
Yeah, we're going to paint it probably a pearl yellow and do graphics on that. And then we'll have a few of his sponsors to represent too, because BC's helping us out with parts. So we'll have a couple sets of coilovers for spares and different spring rates to tune it to his liking. Wisefab, I already have 2 front kits, so I bought a spare just to have spares for the car. Previously when I bought the kits, they're sending us I think 2 rear kits, so we've got a full rear kit and spares, and I'm doing wider fenders on the rear because Wisefab will push it out. Still working on a wheel sponsorship deal because I've got some ugly old beat up XXRs, and I'm sick of carrying heavy wheels around. So I'm gonna get something lighter. So I haven't finalized that. And then obviously Falcon's on board with them, and obviously we'll have ECU Master logos on it. So yeah, I think we're gonna paint it pearl yellow and then just do some graphics on it from there.
So you can kind of see what it's like. We're gonna have to ship in 56 tires for him. We'll have to ship him over as well because James Deane has to drive it. We have to get the entire car. I mean Zach. Zach has to build an entire car, dyno it, take it out to test. Maybe I'll help him test it though. And then has to make it look cool, which means it has to go to body and paint. He's gonna have bigger fenders on it, so it looks wider and more aggressive, which is hilarious because right now he has over fenders because the back of this car was crushed. But if you look at it, it's kind of just like the factory body line.
Yeah, they're 15
so he's gonna have to widen it up and spice it up, so it's gonna be much wider and more exciting looking. And then the interior, it is pretty, like, it still has carpet in it and it still has a dash, and it's kind of all business. I mean, all business, even though it has a full factory dash and stuff, but just a handbrake, shifter, steering wheel, racing seats, cage. Is there anything else to think about? Like, who's supporting the car during the trip? If James Deane, have y'all even talked about this? If he breaks the car, are you fixing it? Is he fixing it?
I mean, it's
a group fix.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I hope he's somewhat mechanically inclined, but I can't guarantee that. So I like being pretty self-sufficient. I'll be driving my Corvette, so I'll have spares and tools, and I'll have probably one of my employees with us the whole trip just because we're supporting 2 cars, and I want to make sure that we've got people on site because I'd like to be out driving and not solving problems.
Yep.
So.
No trucks and trailers.
Yep.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
God, I cannot believe you were going to build this entire car in 2 months. I've been freaking out about all kinds of stuff on the trip. I'm always freaking out because Drift Week has been kind of an escalation of stuff. We had the LZ party, we have James Deane coming. There's always something crazy going on. And this is like a million failure points. If people don't get to drive with, I feel like I need to stash an extra car just in case we have a problem. You know what I mean? So we can keep going and stuff.
So
and then
we've got access to other cars.
Yeah. What do you have access to?
There's
You're like mine.
one of my guys, I don't want to throw his name under the bus, but we've got a pretty
Galen?
well prepped. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But
All right.
and again, I'm not going to promise his car to anyone, but I think he'd be down like if we needed to in a pinch. I mean, he wants to drive some of the event if he can, just because, it's fun. But, there's more cars in the area. My JZX, I don't really want to, but like in a pinch, I bet I could make that fit James, but it's honestly too nice to go drifting.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Also, a 350Z is like, that is, with a V8 and everything in there, is going to be so much more capable than the JZX will.
Yeah.
Because, the JZX is like a full weight, big car.
It's a fun car, but it's full AC, full weight street car. But also, I think that I'll be a lot more likely to drive this aggressively than the Corvette, just because it's so much easier to fix, and they're so much more robust. I mean, Corvettes, it's just all fiberglass. Everything's held together with like glorified self-tappers from the factory, so they're not like rough and tumble drift cars. They're a great platform, but it's a little more fragile than the Z chassis for sure.
All right, I need you guys to help me with two things. One, what wheels should go on it? We want it to look like it's a James Deane car, but also cool and like sporty. If it's up to me, I would just put RPF ones. I actually asked Enke if they want to do that, but they're busy right now and haven't gotten back to me. So hopefully, Alex, if you watch this, we need those. But I mean, like we could do anything, or Zach could, I don't know. And then, so first thing is what wheels. Second thing is, I'm gonna ask you guys, what is gonna be the first thing to break on this car? And what do they need to like take care of? And then we're gonna come back to this after the event and see who is correct. Because drift cars always break. There are people, like 35% of all Drift Week. Remember Pat's Acres at the end of Drift Week 3? And we were gonna give out little prizes to who didn't break, and like half the people were like, I didn't break anything. And you're like, you're all freaking liars.
I went through like, I think 4 wheel bearings. No, maybe 6 wheel bearings on the Corvette.
Why?
Because all the aftermarket ones are garbage.
Oh.
Yeah, you only get, and really the factory ones don't last that long in track cars. You have to get like the super special ones that are like $400 a corner.
Oh my God.
Which I haven't done yet. So yeah, it's going to need wheel bearings again because they're just garbage from GM. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, the Corvettes are not immune to other things, but.
All right, guys, what is going to break on this car? In the comments. And Zach, what do you think is going to break? I think the ITBs are the most like suspect thing, just because it's not a high production part and we always have like little issues with things.
I don't want to jinx the
like
car,
that.
but I think that honestly with James driving, there's going to be so many people wanting to drive close to him. I think we're going to like bend or snap some tie rods with people getting really aggressive with them. So I think it's going to be suspension stuff more than anything, just for people like, trying to be a hero driving with James Deane too aggressively.
Yeah. At least this car has already had a lot of dents. Like you guys haven't seen, but I'm sure these are replacement doors. Like it's not the first set of doors.
And it always makes me mad because the door costs less than the sticker that's on it. Like, no, legitimately, like the materials for paint and the sticker are way more than the cost of putting a new door on it. But
That's how it used to be with S chassis, but not anymore.
Z-doors are awesome because the connector for the harness is like just behind the boot on the outside of the car. You can replace a Z-door in like 15 minutes. It's the easiest thing in the world. Yeah, but then painting it and getting the sticker is just a huge pain in the neck.
Yep.
So yeah, this thing's been bent up enough that like the chassis is straight. It's just had a lot of bumps and bruises over the years.
So you didn't say what it was going to break. You just said tie rods.
Yeah, I think
That's not a big guess. That means everything is going to be so reliable. You're going to have no problems.
One can hope. It's not
Fair
my first
enough.
car build.
And if you're around like FD stuff all the time, you're like, oh, the FD guys change clutches every single day. They're doing this and that. And we're like, this car is going to have nothing but tie rod replacement.
That are this big around, right?
Oh, no, I understand. I'm just laughing.
Yeah.
It's going to be like smooth sailing. Nothing is going to definitely break.
So a lot of the wear parts we're replacing, like a clutch or brake pads or whatever, right? There's a lot of stuff that's just not a consumable in a drift car. But yeah, I'm crossing fingers that we don't have any major mechanical stuff.
Well, another quick thing I was going to say is oftentimes when booking cars like this, like I brought over your Koi and Tezuka. Tezuka is Kid's Heart driver with the yellow Skyline R34 rear end, R32 or vice versa. And MCR Factory, Yokoi, and lots of other drivers throughout the years. And I'm always putting them in something that's like maybe right-hand drive, left-hand drive different, a V8 or like some different type of drivetrain that they might not be used to. And I want the drivers to have a good time, feel immediately confident in what they're doing, because I've never gotten great at right-hand drive. I drive it all the time, but I'm never going to be as good as I am at left-hand drive. I want them to perform really well for the crowds, the people, for the other drivers, for everything. So everything is like a give and take. We're not putting him in a JZ because that would be a disaster on Drift Week. We're not going to put him in a S chassis because that would probably also be a disaster on Drift Week for various reasons. And we're not going to put him in a right-hand drive car because we just don't have access to it. I could potentially get a right-hand drive car, but that means we'd be putting him in something over 25 years old that doesn't have appropriate swap kits for like a V8 drivetrain or whatever.
If you don't have a spare steering rack, you're boned, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get into the right-hand drive easily. That was my concern about the JZX on Drift Week is if I run out of, if I break a steering rack, I'm just end of trip. Nobody's going to have one locally.
You're screwed on all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we just, the choice of a 350Z and all these parts such as a crate LS3, crate T56, we're trying to dial out all the problems because this is an extremely expensive trip to throw for you to be on.
Going to break. It's going to be an alternator or a power steering pump. That's what's going to be.
Why? Because you're going to over rev it?
Well, they're just garbage. It's AC Delco junk, right?
Yeah.
So I think if anything's going to fail, like just a straight component failure, I think it's going to be an alternator or power steering pump. I drive in cars like I want to drive them home when I'm on Drift Week, which is a slightly different style. Like I use the clutch into that as little as possible, and it's got enough power that you don't need
because you don't want to pull the rear subframe.
Well, that you don't need to beat it up to get it to step out. Like this thing with a DE in it, I mean, you have to be merciless with the clutch pedal, right?
Yeah.
But with a big V8 in it, it shouldn't need. I mean, you can actually use the throttle as an input instead of like two-footing the crap out of it. But.
And it should be obvious why we're doing the V8 swap. It's because the DE would really suck for him to come all the way across the world and then drive a DE car.
Get walked on by a Miata.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing that. So if you're watching this, I hope you enjoy the pile of parts. I hope you enjoy the amount of effort that Zach is putting into this whole project so you can drive. We're super appreciative of you coming over. I'm super excited to drive and stuff. Like this stuff is getting me so pumped. I'm prepping my car. I will see everybody on Drift Week 6. It's November, and we'll have some public days. You can go to LoneStarDrift.com and link into the events to see the public days, and we'll see you guys out there. Boom, buy car, get in there, parts, get in there. There's probably an electric motor I'll mess up if I press things. You're like, don't press things. Boop boop. Cool. All right. I couldn't imagine the days when there was little tiny carburetors behind them.
Trying to sync all those? Yeah. Forget that.
And as always, thank you to all the sponsors of Lone Star Drift like BC Racing Coilovers, WhatMonstersDo.com, NK Wheels, Valino Tires, ECU Master, and KBD Body Kits. And I will see you guys at round 4 of Lone Star Drift at MSR Houston on August 20th and 21st. Come hang out with me and all the Lone Star Drift drivers. Bye.